In this lecture, we are going to see how can a user create his Gmail address. Okay, so this is the first screen the user is going to come across when he will open the app. Now he need to click on this option and automatically he will get redirected on this screen. Now if he is a new user, he need to create his own account on this platform first, a new account. Now for that he need to click on this create account option, and this is the option he is going to come across. He need to select this for myself option, and then he will get redirected on this screen. Here he is required to input his name, first name and last name. So for now I am entering this name here on this screen. Let's see what's going to happen when we will tap on this next button. So this is the next screen where we are going to come across. Let's enter the date of birth. And here we need to select the gender. The user is required to select the gender. Let's tap this next button. So here the user is required to select an email address of his own choice. So that's how he can define an email address of his own choice. Let's see what is going to happen when we will hit this next button. Here the user is required to define a password for his Gmail ID. So I am defining this as a password. Let's now hit this next button. So here what is happening, this is the name that we entered some while back, and this is the Gmail address. So here the first name and the last name of the user is going to get reflected, and his email ID is going to get reflected. Now let's see what is going to happen when we'll tap this next button. So this is a screen where the user is going to come across. Let's hit this screen. Okay, so the Gmail ID of the user has got successfully created. Let's see what have we got on the data browser of this app. So we have got a table created over here with the email address of that person, and this is the whole information the user has entered on that platform. So let's dive into code.org platform and see how can we create a Gmail app on the same. This is the first screen that the user is going to see. Okay, so what I want, when the user taps on this screen, I want him to get redirected on screen 1. So for doing that, I can make use of this on event block. Let's put it in this workspace over here. And what is the name of this screen? Name is first screen. So from this drop down we need to select first screen, and in order to make the user redirected to screen 1, we need to set the screen to screen 1. So now when the user will tap on this screen, he will get redirected on screen 1. Okay, so we have got some options over here on screen 1. Now what I want the user to tap on this button over here, this image button, the name, the ID of which is Google 1. Okay, so let's define an on event block for this button, this image button also. Where is that Google 1 option? So when the user will tap on this button, I want him to I want him to get redirected on this screen 2. Okay, let's define screen 2 in this using the set screen block. We can do this, right? And from here we need to select screen 2. So the user is now going to come on this screen where I have got an image over here. the ID of which is for myself too. Let me just show you what is there behind this ID, behind this image button. So we have got another image button over here, the name of which is create account. So initially I don't want the user to see this thing, this for myself to image. So what I am going to do, I am going to hide this initially. How will I do that? By using hide element property. Okay, I'm going to define this hide element property right on the top, and from this drop down over here I need to select what is the ID of this. It is for myself too. So I need to select for myself too in this drop down. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, this is the one. Okay, now initially the option that will be visible to the user is this, create account to. What I want when the user will click on this should get disappear, and instead of this image button should be visible to the user. Okay, so how can we do that? We can again make use of this on event block, right? And we are going to define this on event block for this button, the name of which is, what is the name of this? What was the ID? I think it is create AC2. Okay, so let's choose create AC2 from this drop down, and now what is going to happen, let me just put it back here. So what I want this create AC2, or else what we can do is we can make this element visible. Okay, we can make this component visible. So let's set this component visible using this show element block. What is the idea of this? It is for myself too. So we need to select for myself too from here. Now when the user will click on this for myself too, just a second. Yeah, now it is fine. So when the user will click on this for myself too, the first thing that I would like to do is, where is that for myself too option? Yeah, so I would like the user to get redirected on screen 3. Okay, so for that I can make use of the set screen option, right? And from this drop down we can select set screen 3. Besides, I want this image also to get disappear from the screen, so that when the user if the user is going to come back, he should see that create account option. So in order to do that, we can again make use of this hide element property, right? And we can make this go disappear for myself. Where is that for myself? Yeah, this is the one. Let me just enlarge the size of the screen so that the code can be more visible to you guys. Yeah, now it is fine. So now the user is going to get redirected on screen 3. Now here on screen 3, the user is required to enter his first name and his last name, and after that the user is gonna hit he's going to hit this next button. So let's define the code for this next button. Okay, and the information that the user is going to enter in this first name and last name text boxes, we are going to make use of it while we will be creating the table. Okay, what is the name of this button? The ID of this button is next 3. So let's select next 3 quickly from this drop down. Where is next 3? This is the one. Now we want the user to get redirected on screen 4. So that's how we can do it, right? Yeah. Now let's come on screen 4. Let's see what do we have on screen 4. So here we have again got two things. Here the user is required to enter his date of birth, and here he is going to select his gender, and after that he is required to hit this next button. So let's code for this next button, which is visible over here. What is the idea of this? It is next 4. So from this drop down over here, we need to select next 4, right? Where is that next 4 option? Yeah, this is the one. So I would like the user to get redirected on screen 5 when he will hit this button. What do we have on screen 5? Okay, so we have got this text box over here where the user can mention, any ID, any user ID which he want to use, which he would like to use as his Gmail ID. Okay, so he can mention any ID here in this text box, and then the user is required to tap the hit this next button. So let's define the code for this next button. And next, what is the idea of this? It is next 5. So we need to select next 5 from here first. This is the one. And what else do we require? We require the user to get redirected. We would like him to get redirected on screen 6. Let's see what do we have on screen 6. So here the user is gonna he's gonna set his password, set the password for his Gmail address. Let's define the same code for this next button also, which is visible on this screen 6. I think the ID of this is next 6. Yeah, the ID is next 6 of this next button. Let's select next 6 from this drop down, and let's make the user go on screen 7. So what do we have on screen 7? This is the screen on which the first name and the second name of the user is going to get reflected, and his complete Gmail address is going to get reflected. Now here the user is required to review his account, and then when the user will hit this next button, I want a table to get created on the data browser connected to this app. So let's code for that thing. I'm copying this code from here first and pasting it here. What is the idea of this? It is next 7. So I would like the user, see, when the user will hit this next 7 button, first thing I would like to see is before that we will be requiring first name and the second name of the user here, and besides the email address. How are we going to fetch that? That's what we need to see. So in order to pull the email address and everything, we need to define a code over here. Now what is the code that we can define? This is what we need to see. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's come on screen 6 again. So when the user will hit this next 6 button, this is next 6 button, this is the code that we have got on the workspace for the same. When the user will hit this button, I would like the user to get redirected on this screen. Besides, I would like to see his first name and second name and the email address of the user here. So how am I going to do that? For doing that, I can make use of this set property option, right? I can make use of the set property option. What is the idea of this? It is first name 7. So let's select first name 7 from here. Where is that first name 7 option? Okay, this is the one. Fine, and I would like to pick up the text for this first name from I think, yeah, this component of screen 3. What is the name of this component? It is first name. So here this is a component where in which the user is going to enter his first name, right? So let's pick up the first name from here. We need to convert it back into text based code, and let's remove this text from here first, and instead of this, in place of this, let's make use of get text property, right? This is the one that we can make use of in order to fetch the text from a component. Where is that get text property? This is the one. Let's put it here, and in this drop down we need to select first name, right? So let's select first name from this drop down. Where is that option? Yeah, this is the one. So now we'll be able to get the user's first name reflected over here. Now comes the user's second name. Let's make use of the same property, and let's put it here inside this event block, or next 6. What is the idea of this? It is second name 7. So we need to select second name 7 from this drop down. And where is the user going to enter his second name? This is the component. Last name is the name of that component where the user is going to input his second name. That is last name, you can say. Yeah, this is the one. Now let's see what else do we have. We have the email address also. So the user is going to set his ID here in this component text underscore input 6. So how can we get the email address? That's what we need to see. What is the ID of this component? It is email 7, where the email address is going to get reflected finally, the complete email address. Email 7, where is that option? This is the one. Okay, and in order to make it easy, what else we can do? Instead of using @gmail.com hard codely here, we can get rid of this. Let's get rid of this, and let's put a text box here. Fine. Now I think this is going to make make it easier for us to fetch the email address, to fetch the complete email address. This is how I put the components on the image that is there behind the screen. Okay, that is there on the screen. Fine. Now here I would like the user to enter his email address. Let me just rename the component to email 5, and okay, so what else can we do? Let's change the text color to black, and font we're going to keep it as Lucida Sans, and you see the sense, and then let's define a border also for this. Okay, what else can we do? Yeah, I think this is fine now. So the user is going to enter his email address here in this email 5 component, and now here on screen 7, let's fetch the email from email 5, sorry. This is the component from where can we fetch the email address. Now what I want is, when the user hit this button, I want a table to get created on the data browser connected to this app. For doing that, again I can make use of this create record block, right? This is the way we create table. Okay, and with what name we should save the table? Let's save it. Let's name the table. Let's save it with the email ID. Okay, let's save it with the email ID. How are we going to get the email ID? We can get it from here. Let's make use of the get text component again. Put it here, and from this drop down, instead of selecting this email 5, now we need to select email 7, because finally the email address is going to get reflected here. So email 7. What are the various fields I would like to define in the table, we would like to have in the table? So the first thing that we would like to have is the first name of the user. Fine. And the second thing that we would like to have in this table is the second name. And then what else can we take into consideration? Let's check it out from the beginning. Screen 2, we have got nothing. Screen 3, first name, last name, we have already taken these two things. Date of birth and gender. Let's store it in DOB. And after that, what else do we have? Email address. And then what else? Password. I think this is the last field, okay, that we are required to save, that we are required to make a field of, in which we can save this data of whatever data the user is going to enter here in the password field. Now what else can we do? Password, and then let's define a field for confirm password too. Fine. Now how can we get this data? So in order to get all these the information for all these things that the user is going to enter, we can make use of this get text property, right? Let's define it for this one. For this one, second name, DOB. After that it is gender, then it is email, and then it is password, and last one is this confirm password. Okay, let's convert it back into block based coding and select the appropriate fields from these drop downs. For the first name, the user is, where is the first name going to get reflected? It is in first name 7. So let's pick up the first name from first name 7. Second name is going to get reflected in second name 7. So let's select second name 7 from this drop down over here, and then it is date of birth. Where is it going to get reflected? That's what we need to check out. Date of birth is in DOB. So let's select DOB from here, and then it is gender. So we have got gender in this drop down, the name, the ID of which is gender. Where is that ID? Let's locate it. Yeah, this is the one. Now we need to get the email address again. So we will be considering this email 7. Yeah, this is right. Password, we are going to get it from password 6. Where is that field? Okay, password 6. And confirm password, let's get it from confirm 6. Okay, so now when the user will hit this next button, that is the button that is there on screen 7, this next button, a table is going to get created. Besides, I would like the user to get redirected on screen 8, sorry, on screen this after screen 7. So how can we do that? We can do that with the help of this set screen option. Let's select after screen 7 from this drop down, and this is a screen where I have got an animated GIF. Now when the user will tap on this after screen 7, I would like him to get redirected on screen 8. So that is the final screen. Where is that? After screen 7. This is the one, and now I would like the user to get redirected on screen 8. So this let me show you this view of screen 8 also. This is the final screen the user is going to come on. Okay, and this is how we can create a Gmail ID. A user can register his Gmail ID. Okay, thank you very much for watching this lecture, and have a great day. Bye bye.